Hi, this is Chris Cargo, DJ and producer, and you're listening to the Liverpool Connection Podcast, Music and Football.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Liverpool Connection Podcast. This is my music and football episode where I bring on a DJ, producer and musician to talk about music and football. The last couple of episodes has just been all about music, so I'm absolutely chuffed today because my next guest is a Liverpool supporter, and as everyone knows, I'm a Red as well. So it's going to be great to talk about music, but especially great to talk about football. My next guest has been in the DJ and producing world for, 25, 30 years. First had tracks out on Little Fluffy Records, which is an old record label. Good Lord, I'm giving away my age as well. On Barry Gilby's Choo Choo, Renaissance, Automatic, Whoop. Just loads of great progressive house and, as they say, melodic house now, or melodic techno, whatever genre Beatport comes up with. But I'm pleased to introduce DJ and producer Chris Cargo. Chris, welcome to the podcast, mate.
How you doing, mate? Thanks for having me on. And that was a nice wee build up there. I was getting a bit embarrassed there, and you make me feel a bit older too.
Hey, we've got to get used to it, mate. That's the thing, you know. And I know none of us want to go grey, none of us want to go bald, none of us want to, really like say that we're in our 50s. But you know what?
Whoa! I haven't reached that far yet, mate.
How old are you?
I'm only a young pup here. I'm 48.
48. 2 years away, mate. 2 years. You'll be joining the brigade soon enough.
Those 2 years.
Yeah, spread it out.
For about the next 15.
Yeah, well, you have to, don't you? But live life every day. That's my motto, and just enjoy your music and your football. Let's get, because you're a Belfast boy, right?
Yeah. Originally born and bred Belfast. Yeah, live a wee bit outside Belfast now, but yeah, that's where I'm from originally.
So I'm gonna do the football first, just because I'm excited to talk to another person about football, because like I said, it's been a little while. So I know with Northern Ireland and Irish contingent, it's usually Man United or Liverpool. So why Liverpool for you?
Because, and I mean, I'm going to have to own up to this. When I was young, Liverpool were the better team. So it was natural to pick the team that was winning the trophies, I think. But I didn't foresee that sort of 30-year gap of not winning too much. I thought it was always going to be like this, league championships, FA Cups, and yeah. And then the other Reds started to win things, which was a bit of a... But it's good that things have flipped round again,
Oh yeah, 100% it is. Yeah,
that's why I started supporting Liverpool. I think there's no connection to the city or anything like that. It was just, I'm like 8-9 years of age. They're winning. That's going to be my team.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a childhood hero, footy hero?
Yeah, I had quite a few. This is probably gonna... Well, no, there's the Belfast thing in here. Although he was a United player, it was Norman Whiteside.
Mm.
And then I always liked Michel Platini and Glenn Hoddle. They were my sort of... They were just... I suppose they were just like artists, I suppose, of the game. And then from a Liverpool side, I suppose Barnes and Rush and that kind of... John Barnes would have been the one for me. Like,
yeah, I mean, you've talked about Platini and Hoddle and Barnes. I mean, all those had moves I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, they could get past somebody with just trickery. Like I was obviously Liverpool supporter, a bit like me dad My dad used to work in Iraq and Iran as a construction engineer, and
Right.
he was on a plane with the Spurs squad, the Gary Mabbutt, Glenn Hoddle, Garth Crooks, and they were going to Saudi for a pre-season or something. And I mean, this is like mid-80s, and
Mhm.
he brought me back like a signed shirt, and literally I was like, I mean, I didn't say this to me dad, but later on in life, I'm just going, why the fuck would you bring me a Spurs shirt?
Oh man.
But being a Liverpool supporter, like just going, you're fucking mental, dad. Like, but I understood. He just knew I was into football as well,
Yeah.
because one of my favourite matches back in the day was the FA Cup final, Spurs versus City, when Ricky Villa did that
Yeah. Yeah.
slalom run. But I was more like, enamored by Glenn Hoddle because
Yeah. I always thought that Huddle was somebody that was maybe always. I always felt he was underrated in English football, if that makes sense. Even though he was a top player, I think if you could have just dropped Glenn into a French team or a Spanish team, and he would have just ran the game.
Mhm.
That's just the way he played the game, his passing, and yeah, it was just like, oh, what a player, what a player. It would have been great to have him at Liverpool. Like that would have been off the scale.
I
Like
I would have taken him at Liverpool. It's one of those two. If his name was Hoddle Dino, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah. No, you're right, mate. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. That John. I remember. I remember when Barnes joined Liverpool, and I just remember. I think it was a game against QPR or something, and he just, oh man, he just went through the back four like a hot knife through butter, and I think he beat two or three players, and then just put it in the corner. It was like, whoa, this is some player. Like so, he has. Um, it's funny because I'm just sort of getting to that. I've actually started going through old books again, and I've started reading Rushy's biography again.
Mm.
Um, and he's just at the minute he's just left for Juventus, and Barnes and all has just arrived at Liverpool. So I'm looking forward to start reading that when Rush comes back and seeing what sort of chemistry was there. But yeah, yeah, we'd some good players. Alan Hansen, he was another one. I used to love watching him. He's just,
Oh, yeah.
you talk about central defenders now that can play with the ball and bring it out from the back. I mean, Hansen was doing that, you know, way before this was,
Well, there's a,
way
that there's
before the Van Dijks and that of the world.
well, there's always that talk between who is our greatest defender, and it's between Virgil and Hansen.
Yeah,
And for me, it's still Hansen, just because he did it longer.
yeah.
You know,
It was a nice touch there at the when we were lifting the leg, Hansen and Virgil. I thought that showed tremendous respect from Virgil. That he obviously realizes what an icon of defending Hansen was like.
mhm.
But actually, in that book as well, Rushy was just touching on that he was left out of the Scotland team for the '86 World Cup. You're like, Scotland must have had some defenders if
Mhm.
Alan Hansen was left out of the '86 World Cup team. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And I don't remember like too much about Scotland in '86. I know Stevie Archibald and Strachan. I would
yeah,
think. I just can't think of the defenders. I mean, why would you leave Alan Hansen out of anything? He and what's so funny too, Chris, is like he was skinny. You know what I mean? He wasn't like really like built like a brick shit house. But
yeah.
boy, could he play the game, and he was really physical. And that's another thing that I think people have to look at. I think back, in the 70s and 80s, football was a lot rougher. You know,
Oh, totally, totally, man, totally.
like
And the pitches. I mean,
you're playing on sawdust.
yeah. I mean, today they're like carpets. I mean, imagine Hansen playing out from the back today,
Mm.
stepping into midfield with the ball like that would be just yeah. That would be nice to have seen
Oh
instead
yeah,
of instead of the
yeah,
ball bobbling left, right, and centre on the muddy pitch.
yeah. That's when you can play football, when you
Yeah,
can pull that damn ball on a pitch. But Do you what's one of your favorite matches? I know a lot of people will probably, say Barca, Liverpool Barca, but like back in the day, what stands out for you?
Back in the it stands out for me, I would say, is the '86 Cup final against Everton.
Mm,
And the the always in my head from a kid is Rush breaking the camera in the goal. Well, I think it was the third one or something. Just from that angle, and it smashed the camera that was in the back of the net. That's just always stood in my mind. But I suppose some of the big European nights are hard to, Istanbul, or as you say, the Barca game, or you know, yeah, even some of the, like, even we were playing Newcastle the other week. Even some of the Newcastle games from even 15, 20 years ago. We were some ding dongs in those, the 4-3s, and you know, um, obviously hammering Manchester United every year now is great.
mm. Yeah, yeah, especially lately, which is really good. Yeah, it's just great to see them, where they are compared to where we are. We're just miles apart from them, and I'm loving it. It not just football wise, but just the way the club is run.
So,
United just
but you can see parallels with us though,
yeah,
from way back when we were at the top, and then you know people took their eye off the ball, and just we stagnated. And I think the same's happened with United. The game's moved on. How things are run, and you know how you put your team together, how you find players, how you coach them. It's all completely changed, and they just haven't went with and they've tried everything. The amount of money they've chucked at it, and we know ourselves from over the years. I mean, I always remember the start of the season going, "Oh, this is going to be our year," and then you think back now at some of the players we signed, and you're like, "Oh, Jesus," you
well,
know.
I think all you have to do is go to the Roy Hodgson year,
Oh,
and the dollop of crap that we signed. You look back then, and then you look at what Klopp brought in, and what Slots brought in, and you just shake your head, going,
yeah.
"What were we thinking?"
I
Even
think
some of
we were just trying to, oh, that he seems to be a decent name. We'll pick him. We'll pick him. We'll pick him. And that
mm,
seems to be what United's done for the last 10, 15 years as well.
yeah,
There's no, I don't think there was much strategy to who we were buying, or I don't think anyway, from the outside looking in. You
at
can
least.
all, when Liverpool buy a player now, they're buying them to slot in, and
Mm.
they have to have that temperament. They have to have that sort of uh, person, maybe not so much personality, but the type of person that they are as well is really important when you're signing a player now. And I do feel a bit sorry for United, because they seem to be able to buy people that are just, they're not that personality. They don't buy into what they're trying to do, or and yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on at that club, but
Long may it
yeah, well, it's
continue.
not us.
Long may it continue, mate. Um, well, I know you were just as chuffed as me last season. I never ever expected us to win the league. I just didn't. I mean, losing somebody like Klopp, it was a massive shock that January, where I woke up, and I got pinged, and I just thought it was a joke. I just did,
Yeah,
and then got on Sky, and saw what his video, and it was like, holy crap. I mean, I knew
yeah,
he was tired. He looked knackered, you know,
yeah.
but I didn't know he was gonna just give it in. But never in a million years did I think it was gonna, like, I mean, he did something so different than what Fergie did, because I think Fergie didn't really leave United in a good place. Klopp
Yeah.
left us in a really good place squad wise.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people sort of miss out is that he rebuilt our midfield before he jacked it in.
Mhm.
That age in midfield of Henderson, Fabinho, that was gone. guys come in. Now, as you said, I did not think for a million years we were, what he'd done was going to lead to what happened last year. But yeah, I mean, it just shows you, even, had Klopp stuck around another year, would have won the league with that team? Probably. Probably would have. Probably would have.
Yeah, I
But
think
never had there been a transition so smooth between one manager to another. I don't think. Yeah.
yeah, and I think it was really good of Liverpool to wait like a month for Slot to do his first presser.
Mm.
I think that was really good because, you know, we were all on this like lull of Klopp leaving. I think it gave us a little bit of time to settle down. And then, again, social media was in an uproar. Why isn't Slot coming out with a presser? Why isn't the club saying this, saying that? I thought they handled it really well. And when he
Yeah.
came out, he spoke very eloquently, about Klopp. Said he didn't want to be Klopp part two, and I really like the more you like listen to Slot, the more I like him, like tactically.
Very well. He does talk very well, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. And he's funny as well. It comes out every single presser. You get more of his personality, and I'm liking him.
The similarity with Klopp is, though, for me, is that, again, he looks like a guy that you could stand and have a good chat with, and he looks like a guy you want to play for.
Yeah.
He comes across as that sort of individual you want to play for this man, like, you
Mhm.
know, where a lot of managers don't really come across like that anymore, do they? I don't
Nah.
think.
Yeah, they're very like one-dimensional.
Yeah,
It's either their way or the highway, and I think that's what the problem with Man United is with Amarim. He's trying to play his way with players that don't play that way, and it's not working.
and he's put himself in a box now where it's going to be really hard for him to. But I mean, good coaches adapt to circumstances, don't they? That's what I kind of think. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So a couple of games already played. Couple of wins on the bounce. I think we can tighten up, obviously, in the back four. But when you change two of your back players, your right back and your left back, and you've got a new midfielder as well, it's going to take time to gel. And again, harping back to social media because that's where you get a lot of the just absolute rubbish from. That why is he not world class from the minute one? Well, one, this is a new league. Two, it's a new team. They've got to get bedded in, and once it clicks, it's gonna click. And I think we are going to like just smash some teams.
yeah. No, I agree with you. I think we definitely need to tighten up a wee bit in the back four, and I think maybe in the midfield as well. But I know he played in the Newcastle game, but we did miss Gravenbach. I'm not too sure if I pronounced that correctly or not. We did miss him in the Charity Shield and
Mm.
the game against Bournemouth. I think that made us look a lot more open. Um, and it's just bedding people in as well and just getting them sort of used to the system and used to playing in the Premier League. You're right, yeah. But hey, 2 games, 6 points, so you can't really,
It's too early. If you're complaining already about two wins, I mean, it's the start of the season. After 10 games, like if our back line is still playing the way they're doing, yeah, you can critique them, obviously. If you're already like throwing your toys out the pram after 2 games, I'm just like, you need to stop watching football.
but there are people out there that are, you
Yeah.
know, that will be like that. The same people that call for a manager's head after like one or two defeats. And you're like,
Yeah.
get the gun
Well,
there, get the gun. But
there's always Facebook managers that know better than Klopp, know better than Slot, and it's just ridiculous. I'm well happy with where we're at the moment, and hopefully when this episode comes out, we'll have two new players coming in, and I think we all know who those two are,
yeah,
Isak and Gahey. If we can get those two players in, good God, what a squad.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, yeah, if you're adding somebody up front that's going to give you 25, 30 goals, like, I mean, that's
Yeah, well, I mean,
anything, like,
we can't always rely on Mo.
no, no,
He's going to AFCON this year,
yeah.
so we need more help in scoring goals. I mean, you can't expect him to score 25 goals a season, but he's still doing it.
Yeah.
He's the one season wonder, as United fans would love to say. But it's what his seventh, eighth season with us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
mental. He's just getting better. He's in great physical shape, but it'll take a lot of the pressure, I think, off of him if we have an at TK. I couldn't ask for anything more, and you could tell the lad's going to get better.
Yeah. He seems to have settled straight in, like, so he does.
Yeah, it's just all these new Liverpool supporters that are just coming in. It's a great time for them. They haven't gone through the years that me and you have.
Yeah.
Of watching our team. Just not be that good, and we're back. We're back on our perch, as they say. And I, I I cannot wait to see how the season ends up, and we get Real Madrid again in the Champions League. So
Yeah. That'll be interesting with Trent.
yeah, well, with the way things are going, he probably won't get a game.
No, I mean, I could see him being back at us next year.
Yeah, would you take him back though?
Yeah, I think I would.
Would you?
I mean, I think it depends how Slot changes the team this year, because obviously the team's going to have to play in a slightly different way to when Trent plays.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you're looking at somebody that creates so many chances, so many assists. All right, not the world's greatest defender, but you know, if if somebody else steps in and makes all these assists that Trent used to, then yeah, well, maybe we won't take him back. But I just thought the lad was a joy to watch playing football.
Yeah. Well, a generational talent.
Yeah.
He's just, he gave his all for Liverpool. And you'll get half the people go, he's a rat, and then the
Well,
other.
I don't think it sort of panned out maybe the way it should have panned out ideally.
Yeah,
But if we had got, if we had got 80 million for him, and would everybody been all right with that and said, yeah, you've given us so many years, go on and do what you want to do. Was it just the money thing? Is it just that, or I don't know. People just don't want to see him move at all. I don't know.
well, Scousers, I think because he, was in the academy since he was 6. I think you want Scousers to be at Liverpool for the rest of their lives. You just do. I mean, but this is real. This is real life. Most footballers,
somebody that's given, most of his life to the club. It's hard to begrudge somebody wanting to go and do something else.
I think more so, Chris, if he'd just been honest, and the club must have known as well.
For a long time.
If they would have come out last summer and gone, this is Trent's last season, instead of Trent going, I'm not going to talk to the media about this. I'm going to keep it, behind closed doors. And I just think the club should have come out, or he should have come out last summer and said, look, I'm leaving. I'll give you everything for this last season. I think people would have been like, all right, mate, what you've done is brilliant. But the way, coming out, learned Spanish in 2 weeks? Yeah, right. He's been learning Spanish for about 2 years.
I think whoever has been advising him has not.
His brother. His
agent. Yeah, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, they get that big bonus. And I think somebody's in Ibu's here as well, with Madrid wanting another centre back. I mean, he's another one that just his head's probably turned. I mean, Madrid is the pinnacle, right, of European football. I mean, Liverpool to me is the pinnacle of football.
Yeah.
If you want to play for a big club, Liverpool that's it. That's where it ends. But I understand Madrid has got that law because of how many European Cups they've won, and the Galacticos and all that. So I get that. But like, again, I don't want to go through another season and then Abu in the last week goes, oh yeah, I'm leaving. So it's either get him signed before January or sell him in January and get some money for him.
Let me throw this one out to you, right? Because this is what's sort of at the back of my head, right? The whole situation with Isaac, right? I don't think that looks extremely good for anybody at the minute, the way this is sort of, right? Now, if he's doing that now, 2 years at Liverpool and Real Madrid come knocking at the door, is he going to do the same thing?
Yeah.
That's that's in the back of my head. I'm going, is this the type of person this guy? I don't know the guy from Adam, but it's just really not panned out too well that he's down tools and stuff. I mean, it's great if we sign him, brilliant, but
well, we don't know as fans what's gone behind.
What's been said or who's said or
yeah, what's been said to him. Was there a handshake and gone, you can leave this summer?
Yeah.
And he's been told, we came in with a bid and he's been told no, or you made promises. We don't know like what's gone on. I don't like it when players down tools. Coutinho did it, remember, for us. And I hated him for it, but at least we got, 140, 130, 140, and look where he is now. But I'm kind of the same with you. Like in 2 years, what's stopping him going? If Madrid comes sniffing, but put a release clause. Put a release clause. That's what Liverpool.
Well, I mean, that's the shocking thing that I actually realised there that he's no release clause in his Newcastle contract.
Yep.
I mean, on that deal.
Yeah. 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 It's insane, but I just believe like there's no going back for him now. I think he's
very difficult, mate. But what happens if we don't stump up the money in 2 days? I mean, there's a fair difference between 110 and 150.
Yeah, I think it'll be.
I can't see us going 150. We're going to go in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, I think it'll be 130 plus maybe a couple of add-ons. Paid over time. But yeah, if we get him and Gahey, I think it's on. I look forward to many more wins.
I think so, mate. I think so.
That's I just want to be a happy Liverpool supporter. That's all I want to. I'm as you grow. And I'm sure you're the same. When you're a young lad, like when you lose a footy match, it's like you've lost everything, and your week is absolutely
brilliant, doesn't
it? But these days, I've got 4 little girls, so they kind of snap me out of it, and it's like I've got to be dad again. So I'm watching it on the telly. I don't swear. And if the match hasn't gone the way I wanted it to go, I just get on with it. It doesn't really faze me anymore. So that makes me happy. Just because it used to just ruin my whole week, and just you're just angry at the world. And there's
to be fair, we don't lose too many games in the last few years. Like,
oh, it's nice, isn't it?
I mean, compared to previously, like, so. Yeah, I think those days are few and far between now.
Yeah, yeah, they will be. So yeah, I can't wait. Let's talk music, mate. I've got my football off my chest now, which is good. Made me happy. But music. Let's go back, like your roots and early influences in music.
My early influences, well, my early influences were always electronic. sort of based. I was never sort of into um, pop music or bands or I remember when I was a kid, I used to go through my mum's record collection and then go and do like a pretend I make her like a DJ show with all the tracks and do like my own top 40 and then give it to her. But my first sort of like was electronic music. It was hearing like I had a friend whose older brother had a set of decks, sort of turntables, and I suppose it was just hearing that sort of early '90s sort of piano music and just seeing it on a turntable and going, wow, this is it blew my mind. Really, it blew my mind. And then when I was a kid, there was always like lots of local DJs tapes knocking about, and there was Sasha tapes and Carl Cox tapes, and I just loved listening to those and just picking out the transitions and how they were blending records together. It just really just engrossed me. And that was my first sort of dip into music. Was that type of music? As I said, it was never there was never a sort of I didn't play any musical instruments when I was younger. I didn't follow any bands or groups or anything like that. It was straight in electronic music.
So for DJing wise, was it like you just got hooked completely?
Yeah, it was just the whole sort of the fixation on the in the analog turntable world of getting the beats together and making these two records almost sound like one record. It just sort of, yeah, it blew my mind. It was like, wow, this is insane. And the music as well. I mean, I never heard music like this in my life. And I suppose that's a difficult thing. It only sort of generations, the first time somebody heard rock music, the first time somebody heard electronic music, that doesn't come along too long and too often. And it was like, yeah, it was just changed. Well, it changed my life, really. Yeah.
For what were your first set of decks?
Oh, I had a set of Goodman's turntables out of Argus, and they had like a rotary pitch control on them. Uh, and they were belt driven. And when the belt used to go on, I used to have to put an elastic band on it, and then I moved up in the world and I got a set of sound labs that were belt driven. And at that sort of point, I'd started playing out a little bit in clubs, and there was a big difference from playing on those to playing on Technics. So then I had to beg and scrape and borrow money to get my first set of Technics, and I still have the same set today. I mean, that's like they must be like 30, 30 odd years old. But yeah, that was probably the best investment I ever made.
Yeah, they're like the Rolls Royces, aren't they? As long as you take care of them,
Yeah,
they'll last
yeah,
a lifetime. But I mean, could you like first playing out in clubs for you? And obviously, local record shop and everything, it was such a because massive difference now because you buy music online, and then you put it straight on your computer and USB. You know, I miss the days of going to a record shop because
yeah,
it wasn't just about buying the record; it was about meeting people,
yeah,
like-minded people,
yeah,
getting basically a relationship with the seller as well,
yeah,
and coming in and you have a stack, already pulled for you. I love
yeah.
that, even though like half of it was just like you
Cross.
yeah you're just like no, I'm not having that, but they have a good ear for it. I mean, it's such a like I miss those days,
Yeah, I mean, man, the buzz you used to get from getting a tune that maybe you'd heard somewhere, or a tune that was just blowing your mind, or even I used to like rummaging as well. Used to like in Belfast we had quite a lot of sort of underground record stores, and so like Saturday would have been hopping from store to store, and as you say, getting your wee pile of records that was held over for you or whatever. But we also had big chains as well. We had like Virgin Megastore, who in Belfast anyway, I mean, had somebody that was buying in that knew what they were buying. And I just used to love that sort of random, oh, there's a Limbo track. I'm not even going to listen to that. I'm going to take that home. Or there's a Gorilla track, or there's something else, and you got it home and you put it on. You were like, whoa, yes. You know, I used to love those blind buys as well. It was such a buzz or like a rush on that was amazing. But you're right. I mean, it was a social thing. It was a cliche sort of thing, but it was a scene. You know, you went out, you bought your records, you had the clothes shops that went with the record shops, and you know, and then you went out that night and you seen the same faces and you were talking to the same people, and it was a small close knit sort of community, I suppose, which isn't there anymore. I don't think it's there anymore.
Well, the networking as well. You know, it was networking.
Yeah,
You know, see a lad that you'd seen before, and he DJ'd at another club. You talk, you know, and you get a gig there. If you were playing a resident at a club, you'd bring them over. It was just, it was friendly back
yeah,
then. I mean, there was competition, obviously, you know, but it was friendly competition. Like, I'm gonna one up you. All right, well, next time I'll one up you. You know, there wasn't really like too much like aggro in the scene, or for me, everything just seemed like the way it should be,
yeah,
organically grown.
yeah,
What I've found, like, you know, you go to the club on a Saturday and you couldn't wait for the record shop to open on Monday, and then you would get there's always one who would come in and go, man, I heard this tune on Saturday night at Cream, and it went choo 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 cha cha boom 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 like that, and you just like, what the fuck are you on about?
later after a wee while being in that sort of, I was working in record shops, and yeah, the amount of people used to come in, and yeah, we just like trying
But
to hum a factory or something from the weekend.
yeah, but you would still sell them something, wouldn't you? You'd still
Oh,
go, oh yeah, I've got that one. I've
yeah,
got
yeah,
that
yeah.
one. Yeah,
Maybe just let them hear a couple of bars of it over the sound system or something.
yeah. And I know they were still fried from Saturday night, so they'd go, maybe that is the one. Yeah, it is the one, mate. That'll be 20 quid. Yeah. Yeah, they're like drug pushers, record sellers.
Yeah.
So when did the production part come for you?
Um. So, probably I kind of quickly worked out in my mind what I wanted to do, and
Mhm.
it was I wanted to break into DJing, and then well, I want to DJ around the world. So how am I going to DJ around the world? Well, you need to make music. So that came a couple of years after I started DJing, really. Um, and I just realized look, if I'm going to take this further, I'm going to have to make tracks, and obviously I wanted to make music anyway. It was like, it was a logical next step for me was, right, well, how's this made? How do I make this? So, um, yeah, it was basically more or less just self-taught, the same as DJing, self-taught. Um, and yeah, that's I think my first record was 98, maybe. So I maybe started DJing 94, 95. So it was only a couple of years after that. And then not long after that, then I was very fortunate enough to be able to start touring around the world. And yeah, so it was all like I had it sort of mapped out in my head, what steps it was going to take on it. So um, production music was the logical next step for me. And now it's just my happy place. So it is.
Mhm.
I mean, it can get a bit frustrating at times, but then I have to take myself away. I have a very short attention span, so I'm not one of these people that can sit for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and try and make a melody or something. What I find, if I sit for hours and hours and hours and hours, I get as much done as maybe the next day when I sat for 45 minutes. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's basically how I got into it. I think you're right. Little Fluffy Records. That was my first track come out in Little Fluffy Records. I think it was '98 or something like that. So it
Yeah,
was.
that's just nuts, you know. And then like all your tracks on Choo Choo, Barry Gilby's label. It just because at a time you know how progressive house was kind of going. It was just getting like too euphoric for me.
Yeah.
And labels like Choo Choo and Whoop were kind of going down a darker.
Yeah. I mean, the music did get very dark for a while, so it did in
Yeah,
the,
I
in
mean,
the
I was
early '90s, I think. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
I was loving that because you know, I mean, there's a place for all of it in a set,
yeah.
obviously, but you know, a lot of the main kind of prog DJs were just playing like you know long epic breakdowns after long.
I don't think in the early days I really made that sort of
Mhm.
progressive. To me, it was I was still am. It's all about drums for me. I love drums. Um, Percussion is my main sort of thing. So I think a lot of my early stuff had proggy influences in it, definitely. But there was definitely that sort of tribal Peace Division type sort of
Mm.
undercurrent as well in it, I think. Yeah, and then Choo Choo was just, yeah, it was like that was my home, Choo Choo, so it was. Um,
How did you meet Barry?
I I rang them up
As you
and
do.
asked could as you do in the day back in the day with telephones, you know, and
Mm.
it was a landline, my mother's landline. Um, can I get an address to send you a demo? And I sent them Excessive Groove, and they signed it, and that was the start of a very a relationship that still goes today. I mean, they're still good friends of mine, Barry and Sarah. They were at my wedding as well, and yeah, I used to go over and stay with them, and just work in the studio over there and stuff with them. Um, so yeah, I did quite a lot of records for Choo Choo, maybe half a dozen, maybe more, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
Chunk of Funk is my favorite with you.
yeah, Barry and I did that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's just hits the nail on the head for me. But like you were saying though, your tracks and like Peace Division, you couldn't really put them in like a specific genre. You know,
yeah,
had prog elements, but they also had tribal and they also had tech, and that's what I loved about it. You know,
yeah,
I just when you start like putting a person in a genre, I think you start getting pigeonholed too
yeah,
much.
yeah. I don't like this whole sort of boxing in of
Hmm.
sounds. I mean, to me, there's so many. I couldn't play just like maybe 20 records that all sound the same in a set. I mean, I I kind of used to struggle a little bit when I was on the road in the early days because I always used to like to start off on that sort of I would almost call it like deep, chuggy, druggy, tribal sort of music, and a lot of the times, if you were headlining, especially, you were expected just to go straight in with the big proggy things, as you sort of mentioned earlier on there. But to me, it always would take me. I need a good hour and a half before I'm going to get to that. Like, you know what I mean? um, I always felt more in a rhythm and in a groove if I could start in that sort of tip and just build it up and um, I always found the flow of DJing better than just having to go straight in with a couple of big wallopers, you know.
Well, that you know things have changed as well. I mean, the extended set now is you know at most DJs an hour and a half, and you're only getting started then. Like
An hour and a half or an hour is just no, you
it's
know.
it's what's the point? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if you really
Then that is that not all because not in the sort of progressive or underground scene. I mean, that to me, that's all stemming from the EDM, sort of the big, where the DJs get 45 minutes an hour and that's it. And they're racking up the DJs on the lineup. I think that's where it comes from. I
Mm.
mean, I don't remember ever, unless it was like a festival or a Creamfields or Homelands or something. I don't remember like progressive house DJs having like an hour. I mean, there's nothing I can do in an hour. Like, I mean, apart from just go on and play big tunes. That's really what you're doing. Like, and I think this type of music that we're talking about here was always about the journey, the flow, the journey, where it was going, where it was taking us. That's what it was all about to me. That not just right. Let's get the biggest flipping 10 proggy tracks we can find and stick them all together here.
Mhm. Well, and the seamless mixing as well. That's what you really listen to progressive house for, is these 5-6 minute mixes, between the two tracks,
Yeah,
to create like a 15-minute masterpiece.
yeah.
That's what I love. I just can't really get into these like 1-2 minute like quick
And then it goes into a drop, and then it's into another drop. No,
yeah.
no, I can't. But do you know what? I really like the seamless mixing thing. Was loved it, and especially if you recognize the track coming in,
Hmm.
because then you could really, really take in how good the mixing was. But I always felt as well, sometimes you just couldn't beat a bass line coming in over the top of something. Just a bit of left of center going, whoa, just taking the crowd up a bit. Um, I always like that too. I thought that was, um, yeah,
Yeah, but two of my favorites are Anthony Popper and Danny Howells.
yeah, yeah,
Just both of them, they know how to open, they know how
yeah,
to be the middleman, and they sure as hell know how to close, you know.
yeah,
And I think, especially with Danny, because, obviously he used to open for Digweed uh,
yeah,
at Heaven for the Bedrock nights. He spent so many years just honing his opening skills
yeah,
when everything else came, for him to be a headliner. He knew how to set the night. And I think
yeah.
that's what's missing in a lot of like clubs, is the opening DJ wants to either prove a point, or just doesn't give a shit. And he's told by the club, like at 10 o'clock when doors open, you bang it. And
Yeah. We need people dancing straight away here. Yeah,
yeah, I don't want to come
yeah,
in. I don't know about you, but if I'm coming into a club at 9 o'clock, I don't want to hear like
yeah.
banging. I want.
And is that again? It's a generational thing.
Mm,
That's what kids want now. They want it instant, instant. I think. I hope I'm not stereotyping here. Um, I think, yeah, that sort of that dark, dingy room where the DJ's taking you on a journey is, well, especially in the UK, I think it's
mm.
not really there anymore, is it? Maybe it is some places, but to a certain degree. But not like it was 20, 30 years ago anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, times change. I mean, I got brought up with Cream and back to basics in Leeds. I had amazing nights there, and it was all about the music. Now it's about, the visuals, about like stage presence, and again, I don't give a shit what you look like. You
Yeah.
know, you could look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't care if you can put those records together and move me and take me. I mean, I know the journey thing is cliched.
Cliche, isn't
Yeah,
it?
because people say,
True. It is true though.
I want to take you on a journey and all this bollocks, but there are DJs that really do take you on a
Yeah.
musical journey, give them time to do it, give them the 4 or 5 hour set and they'll do it,
Give them the time to dip in and out of different genres,
yeah.
instead of just, going hell for leather for an hour and a half.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that's the
Weather
mark of a DJ.
Weatherall for me was
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah,
uh, again, a DJ's DJ. He could play rockabilly, hip hop, electro, house. He could do it all, and that's when you know he's a damn good DJ. Especially when everyone else like Carl Cox and Lauren Garnier look up to somebody like Weatherall, and just
yeah.
they always cite him in interviews. It's God rest his soul.
He was the governor, wasn't he? Weatherall was the governor, I think. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. It'd always like be like I heard a little story like he was at a gig and he wasn't even playing, and it was I've forgotten the DJ's name, but he kept messing with him, going, You're about half a beat off," like constantly just to mess with him. And I think that's what kind of person he was. He'd go to just enjoy the music. Whether he's DJing or not, he's there to support. And
Yeah,
I love that about him. And, it just seems these days everyone's out for themselves. It's image, it's brands. I mean, back in the day, y- you wouldn't call yourself like a brand. I mean, that's what it is now. And it's like you have to have a brand to kind of make it. And I just think, and one thing I have to say, Chris, is like at least David Guetta knows who he is. I don't like
mm.
his music, but he said he's a performer.
Yes, I seen that wee video actually, and
Yeah,
but then Guetta comes from a background of playing good music.
yeah, he used to. He used to be
The
a damn good,
businessman.
decent
He's a
DJ, didn't
businessman.
he?
Yeah, he's a businessman,
Yeah.
and that's how he makes his living. And I seen that wee video as well where he said there's two types of DJs,
Hmm.
and he's a performer,
Yeah.
and that's and but there always was two types of DJs. There always was the the underground DJ, and then you had the sort of wedding disco type DJ. There was always those types of DJs. It's just that one type now is just blown up everywhere. you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And getting paid like quite a lot of money to look like a clown. But that's their business, and if they want to do it that way, then
Yeah,
I just feel like, especially living in America, I see like the EDM scene.
yeah,
It's very festival based, but I think some of these kids in the next couple of years are going to want something different. They're going to want to go to a club and hear underground music instead of being blasted with bangers consistently.
mm,
So I think it'll change. I know in the UK there's a lot more clubs, shutting down just because, like, you tell a kid like, "Hey, go to the local club every week, or wait till the summer and go to Creamfields and spend 300 quid, and you get to see 30 world, top talent." I know what they're going to choose.
yeah,
The
yeah.
festival every time. And I get it. As an older person, I don't get it, but as a person living in this day and age,
Yeah.
I get it. I understand that you want to see them all in one place, and it's just that's not
I
for
think,
me.
think it's sorry. I think it's very difficult for anybody to run a weekly club night now, and to have that sort of thought process of come and support your local DJ. That's not the way it works anymore. I don't think
Mhm.
not where I come from anyway. Maybe in other parts of the world, but as you said, the kids they'll go to the big festivals and that's it. You can't. I can't really blame them, or that's their thing. So
Yeah, yeah. It's just like the local resident DJ is just fading out, which is
yeah,
sad, you know.
as you touched on talking about Danny Howells there. I mean, we're I'm sure there are in our scene, but you know, I don't think there's people like that sort of knocking about anymore. Really coming through. I could be wrong, but most kids want to just play the bangers, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. I've had a lad. His name's Daz Manchild.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah,
yeah, Daz is like down to earth, and like I love his sets. He's doing really well in Manchester. Joshua Brooks playing there, and he's I think last weekend or this weekend he's playing with Richie Blacker in
Oh,
the
I think I've seen something for that online
yeah,
in
yeah.
Germany
So
or in area or wherever.
he's just, he's a young lad, well, in his 30s. He's younger than me, so anybody younger than me is a young lad. So you're a young lad. Uh, but yeah, it was just great to chat to him and listen to like his experience of what he wants to do with DJing. And
Yeah,
then I told him the same thing. I was like, you've got to start production. You have to, mate. If you really want to keep your DJing going, you've got to start putting out your own music, to get booked further than, Sheffield, Manchester. So yeah, hopefully he starts doing something. Now for you, and I know like, you it must have been hard for you to stop producing, you know. Um because I've read so many interviews on you, and I know like as a producer, you put your heart and soul into everything you do, which is what you should. You don't just slap shit out there. You know,
I hope I
as
don't know.
no, no, mate. I'm just saying though, there's a lot that do that just they'll put some really good stuff out, but then they'll just slap some other shit out just to
Yeah.
get it out. I don't believe you've ever done that, and yeah, yeah, when you put your album out, obviously it didn't get what you thought it would get. Um,
Which one now? Is this the first album or the second
yeah,
one?
well, louder than bombs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean that it's
That
got
was a bit soul destroying, I think, for me.
yeah. I mean that's what I'm reading. And where do you take yourself like to that point where you just go, all right, like I've put my heart and soul in this, and it just seems like nobody gave a shit.
I think there was a lot of stuff going on at that time, man. That the, the 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 whole sort of genre of progressive house was changing, or Beatport were changing it at that stage. Um, and I just found I think the vinyl thing was just disappearing as well, and everything was sort of changing over. It was just a really difficult time, and it was a difficult time, and I brought out an album, and it didn't really do what I thought it was going to do. Maybe I suppose, but maybe if I'd have brought it out 5 years previously, it would have, you know, just wrong time, wrong place, that sort of thing. And I think I was just getting fed up with the whole music. The music just wasn't there for me anymore. It was just sort of, it was boring. Um, and I think I just got married, and we were having a child, and my sort of things in life had changed. I needed a steady sort of work, and I had to start sort of DJing more locally, because it was harder to get the gigs as well internationally. It was getting harder, and I was DJing more locally and playing music that I just didn't want to play. Um, and you were kind of turning into a jukebox, sort of. And I just had to step away, man. It sucked the life out of me. So it did, if I'm honest. Um, and but I think the break did me good. Um, Sometimes I think if I had just hung in there and kept plugging away, I might have been there when things sort of flipped around again. Um, but I kind of come at everything from a different aspect now, a different point of view. Where back then I was making music, I was making music to get gigs, and become this global superstar. Maybe, I don't know. Now I make music because I like making music. It's just my escapism. I'm certainly not making it for the money. There's no money in it, you know. Um, and I'm not making it to get DJ gigs or anything like that. I just make music because I love the process of making music. I love the thought of creating a melody that just can just take me out of reality for an hour or something, you know. Whereas before, I think when it was getting around that stage, it was all about I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this in order to get this, to get that, to do that, and it was all just getting a bit too much, man. It was, you know what, I'm checking out here. So I just kind of walked away from it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm sure some people would go, you're mental for doing that, you know. But if you fall out of love with something, what's the point of trying to, you know,
No,
it's like a
I didn't
match.
enjoy what I was doing anymore. And you know, you say mental there. I mean, it was affecting my mental health
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, it was just time to check out. So it was. Um, Now where I am now, the music helps my mental health.
Mhm.
Um, it certainly wasn't helping me in those days. So it wasn't.
But your music helps my mental health as well. You know,
Oh man,
it's
that's
well, I mean,
that's nice.
I'll always say this, like the music I listen to has to have some emotion to it.
Yeah.
You know, it just does. You know, I've always been like that. It's gotta move me, like heartfelt, you know, your soul as well. And your music does that for me. Um, and that's a big reason why I wanted you on as well. You know, to you know talk about like and thank you, you know, for making the music
Oh, no.
that you've made and hopefully the music that you will make. I just listened to Shadows today.
Oh, right.
Holy crap, mate! Like, just it's spot on. Like, it's great because not only you know I get to listen to you know a new EP by yourself. I didn't even know about that label, so now I'm going
That's a
back.
really good. Oh, you've got 100 releases there to go back and
Yeah,
check
I
out.
have I've never heard that label before, so
Yeah,
I was like, oh, you know, I've got to go down the rabbit hole with them.
some
But
great stuff on that label, man. So it is.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Where's it based out of?
Australia.
The Australians, they're putting out
Yeah.
stuff, man.
So well, it could be an Australia English connection. I think it's a guy called Steve Marks and Nick Tripswitch
Ah,
that run the label. So yeah, I mean, I was kind of I was happy that they asked me to do an EP for their 100th
mhm.
release, and I think it's out. Well, it'll be out by the time this podcast is out. Um, yeah, so I hope I've done them justice. But I really appreciate you saying all that, man, because I always say, from my point of view now, if just one person likes or takes something from the music that I make, then that makes me happy.
Mhm. And that's how it should be. I kind of have the same thing with the podcast. If one person listens to the podcast
Yeah,
and enjoys it, then that makes me happy. You know, I'm not in it to make millions of dollars. You know, I'm in it because I love getting the guests that I get, and I get to hear their stories, and it makes me happy to learn about like you know, hey, how did you make that track? You know,
yeah,
how did you get into DJing? Like, you know, what are your musical roots? I want to know that because you know every person I've had on here, literally, I've bought their records, I've seen them DJ. You know, and I've had this conversation before. I don't know if I could have a guest on that I don't know nothing about. Like, what would be the point?
yeah. You
I
kind of you need to have that sort of almost connection before or interest in that person before. Yeah, I
yeah,
could I
I
could
don't want to.
imagine. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want to read from a cue card. You know, like I don't want to go to Google, put in the name, and then go, okay, okay. Like,
yeah,
you know, because you can tell it's fake, and I'm
yeah,
sure that the music you make, and I'll say it again, you know, you can tell how much heart and soul you put into your music because it comes out that way. You know, when I put my headphones on, every time I hear your music on a few other artists, I hear something different every single time. Like I'll be like, I didn't hear that little synth line the first time. And that's
Yeah,
what I love about music. It always opens your ears. If you get a good set of headphones,
yeah.
I just lose myself in it.
Well, I think with music like that, not talking about myself, but other artists that similar or make the same sort of music that put the same sort of time and effort into it, and you can hear something different each time you listen to it. I mean, they're those people are putting hours and hours of time into a piece of music. It's not just grabbing a couple of flipping beats and samples and bass lines and chucking it all together and throwing it out. There's maybe like in a track that I would make, maybe I have too much sometimes. Maybe I've got 40 or 50 stems. So there's 40 or 50 different channels with stuff going on in that track. It's not just say half a dozen things. And I try to keep it interesting because even if you just the first time you hear it, all you're hearing is that groove. To keep that interesting and for somebody to put the headphones on and listen to that over and over and over again, there's got to be other things happening and other things going on just to keep it sort of interesting. I think.
Mhm. What's one of your like favorite tracks that you've made?
I'll give you a couple of old ones. I'll give you a couple of new ones. Solid Substance. It was
Mhm.
on Choo Choo. The sort of deep sort of. I used to do deep remixes and call them transitions remix. This is before Digweed called his show Transition, so I think I should have patented that name. But anyway, um, um, that and then I did a track called Sentinel. I Am again on Choo Choo. I think that was probably closest to where I wanted to be with my sound. Um, More sort of recent things would be I like the stuff I did with Alexander Church on his label because that allows me to be a lot more sort of deeper and um, yeah, just to do different sort of things. Um, and I do quite a few sort of like little, well, I'm not going to say little. I remakes of older things, and I did the Doors
Mhm.
recently, and I was so pleased. I mean, it took me so long to do that because I had to be so careful with it because it's like it's the Doors. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has to be really good. This, um, apart from the vocal, was an absolute nightmare to get right, but I just the whole track, the feel of it, I was just so proud of it. It took me so long to do, and it was like, yeah, that's I've done a really good job on this. So that would be probably my sort of and you actually that Shadows track, I'm quite pleased with that too that you were talking about there.
Well, the Wired EP as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's cracking, but didn't you remix Stella?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
I
I
mean,
did.
again, like that really, like that track really got me into like, you know, the type of music I listen to just because it was something I hadn't really heard before. I mean, the like flamenco guitar.
Yeah,
I had Jam Elmar on, Ralph.
did you? Yeah.
Fantastic, to actually talk to him. And, he's classically trained guitarist. And
Right.
just to be able to talk to him about how he did Stella. And then, I knew you'd done the remix.
Yeah. I mean,
That's a big thing to take on.
but do you know? I normally this is what I was going to say. I'm kind of like the Doors thing was just something I wanted to do just for me because I just wanted to have a go at it. But I normally don't pick tracks like Stella because to me, I can't make this better. You know what I mean? The whole thing with Stella was just I wanted to make a mix of it that people could now play, you know, 20, 30 years later. Because if you remember the original, it's not the easiest of tracks to play on a set, and it started out as it was a bootleg, private mix, and I think I think Jam Elmar heard it, or I sent it to him, something like that, and he started the ball rolling then off getting it released, getting it cleared. But that took about 3 or 4 years to get cleared to come out. So it did. I didn't think it would ever come out, but I was so happy that it came out it's on vinyl.
Mhm.
And it's on CD as well. It was part of their sort of anniversary remixes. Um, so I was pleased with that one too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be, especially getting the nod from Mr. Jam.
Yeah, that was nice.
Uh,
And probably a good job I didn't give it away to everybody before I sent it to them.
yeah, yeah. I think that was a good move.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask any upcoming releases in the next month or so.
Yeah, I have. I've got the new EP, the Shadows EP, coming out in 1.62. And then I have, just before that, I have uh, an EP, Dawn Treader and Distant Mellow, and it's coming out on. Hmm, can you edit this? Can you? So I can't remember the name of the.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's coming out. It's out today, actually. It's out today. I've got a new track out today. Distant Mellow and Dawn Treader. That reminds me, I need to go and do a social media post for that after this. Um, and then I'll have something out on If You Wait before the end of the year. And then I'm just working away on other projects at the moment. So a couple of
Oh,
remixes there and a couple of originals.
well, I look forward to hearing them. Everyone, thanks for listening. If you want to go check out Chris's stuff, I always say Bandcamp because most of the money goes to the artist, which they make the music. They should get paid for it. It's chriscargo.bandcamp.com. Obviously, he's on Beatport, Spotify, all that good stuff. Well, I don't know if you want to say Spotify is good stuff, but, he's out on all the audio outlets for you to hear. Thank you again, Chris. It's been brilliant to have you on. I know, we've been going back and forth on Messenger and everything, but it's great to finally, get to meet you and chat with you.
Thanks for having me on, man, and I've enjoyed the footy chat and then went down memory lane there a wee bit. So thanks very much for having me on.
Please, everyone, please like, subscribe, put your notifications on. As always, leave it at the end. I go, not just go check out new music, go check out old music, 25, 30 years ago, like Chris's stuff on Choo Choo is rocking. I mean, seriously, you can play that today, and the kids will probably come up to you and go, is that brand new? And you go, no, that's 25, 30 years old because the production was spot on. And as I always leave you as well, we live in a crazy world right now. So, just tell your family and your mates you love them, look after each other, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.